Hello my friends, welcome back for another shave, and today we're starting a series of shaves with Williams. I am in a Williams shave challenge on the shavingcadre.com where we're going to try to use this puck of Williams till it's gone. Now, I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way because, well, you know, over and over again can get boring. But at the same time, this kind of ties into what we were talking about with the revolution. You know, supplies were tight. Guys who did shave probably only had one kind of soap, and it probably wasn't a nice soap like Williams. But, you know, they used the same thing over and over. You did what you had. Did what you could with what you had. And so, that's what we're going to do here, too. Now, Williams has kind of a reputation of being a little bit snickety towards, you know, how it gets shaved. So I'm going to try different methods until we find one that lathers good, and then we'll go. Our first method is I'm going to try to use it like a shave stick. I'll dip it in water and then just rub it on my face and load that way. I've heard people getting good results like that. Uses your whiskers to drag off some soap. And then I'll put it in the thing. And then you take your brush. In this case, I'm using a synthetic to lather with. Because, well, anymore, I'm starting to really like synthetics. And just go to town with it. And you know, that works pretty good. I'll have to look and see how the other guys are doing their shaves. But, yeah, during the revolution, they sit in the field, you know, you're shaving with what you got over and over again. Days come in, the days go out. You've got your formation in the morning, some training, manual of arms. That would be probably something I did a lot. In other words, you know, how to load on command. They did a lot of what they called volley fire. So everybody is putting the powder in at the same time, and putting the patch and the ball, and coming up, ready, aim, fire, recover, do it again. Look at that. That's not a bad lather at all. And then how to stand in line and how to march, and a lot of these fellows in the Continental Army didn't know these things or had never been in regular army. So repetition and over and over looking at each other. Now that can cause trouble if you're watching somebody else do the manual arms or doing something, you know, or what I remember in my time was watching somebody, you know, their facing maneuvers, but I'm sure they didn't teach people how to stand at attention and how left and right face and all that stuff. They might have. That's not as important though, and probably not what they were dealing with in the early days. But those things are important to that everybody feels like part of a unit. In a way, it's good for morale too, because you're just like everybody else. But if you're watching somebody who's doing it wrong, and you're doing it wrong, and somebody else is trying to watch you, It compounds problems. So it took them a while to get all that ironed out. And we're talking about the very early days of the revolution with a very small number of men just getting started. Okay, now that I've got the brush loaded from my face, it's ready to go. Look at that. It's picking up a little bit of extra water from what I've splashed on my face. And there we go. So using it like a stick with Williams is pretty successful so far. Now Williams isn't available anymore, but there's millions of pucks still out there. Admittedly, there's folks who have it, and there's an economy of folks kind of skinning you. You buy them on eBay, but it's a soap that's meant to be used. It's not. I wouldn't consider it a collector's item. I may save this box. But Williams was a nice tallow-based shave soap. And as we think of history, because for me, here lately anyway, history kind of folds in on itself. So here we are talking about history. This is a puck from the 1980s, probably, maybe 90s, because it's got the barcode on it. And I'm remembering when Williams quit making it, and it still just laid on the shelves here, but then it eventually disappeared. You know, they either pulled it from the shelves. There's Walgreens, which is where I usually would get this stuff. Now with my water, it rinses pretty clean too. That will do. 2 passes, and I only have just a little bit here on my jowls area that needs a little bit of extra attention. So, we're still using that Gillette Slim that we used the other day. There we go. A really pretty darn good shave with a budget type soap. Let's see what the alum says. There's a little bit of a buzz there, but not any more than I would expect when I've got a really close shave. We'll hit ourselves up with some witch hazel. In this case, we'll do a little something different. We'll use Thayer's cucumber. I said this stuff is meant to be used, not necessarily meant to sit on a shelf. So some of these things they call them unobtainium. Yes, they are, but They're good stuff. We're going to use Aqua Velva because, well, it's kind of goes with the package there. Now, while we go through this exercise, I'm not going to keep using old Aqua Velva, or I'll give myself that flexibility. I'll just be using the same soap. And that's it, a pretty darn good shave. And stay tuned, we're gonna try other methods for lathering our Williams, and we'll still be talking about our history as we go. I'm Major Rich. You'll find me at theshavingcadre.com. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're so inclined, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.